So now we get the opportunity to ask questions. I'm assuming there are microphones around, and so please, there's one here. If you have a question, please keep it short so that we'll be able to have as many people ask their questions. And please, when you stand up, identify yourself and identify who you are targeting the questions to. So, yes, see your hand there.
So Mulia, thank you for the very compelling talk and even that palm oil for stunting. And I really want to know more about your plan next for this analysis. So what kind of data that you have in Susanas that can really dig more into this? Maybe there's something about what they do, maybe even in forested areas. Is there anything about occupations, and like, can you just talk more about like your plans for further analysis for this?
Let's hear the question from there. Over there, yeah.
Hi, I'm Anna Diakonou from the University of Montreal. My question is actually a good follow-up to Marianne's, also for Mulia. I'm just wondering, in terms of the forested and the deforested areas, what we know about market access, both in terms of access to markets as consumers for purchase, and also as market integration for people who are selling products, and whether or not that can help to answer this question of the declines in fruits and vegetables in forested areas.
Hello, my name is Lucas Pavera, and I would like to ask Chris. Chris, you documented tremendous diversity of local food plants and local agrobiodiversity. I want to ask how big role you think these resources can play in preventing non-communicable diseases, or should be the intervention more broader, lifestyle, education, yeah? So if you can compare those issues. And for Mulia, I just comment my experiences from Indonesia. You showed that the deforested areas, they have high consumption of total vegetables. Deforested areas, yeah? So in my experience from Indonesia is that really the access to markets and all those mainstream vegetables such as tomato, cabbages, they are coming to the market, so they can be consumed quite in high amount in urban areas, even in villages, compared to leafy vegetables. Thank you.
I saw another hand here. Yes. We'll take that and take one last one, and then we'll let them.
Hi, I have one question for Chris and one question for Michelle. For Chris, those especially vitamin A-rich bananas, those are cultivated? Yeah. So why are people growing them if they're not eating them? That's my question, and if you ask people why they weren't consuming them. And then for Michelle, I'm not sure if I understood your results, but if I did, I think you showed that the adopters did not have significantly different productivity, but you did show the next step that there were beneficial dietary outcomes. So I'm wondering how you can explain that if productivity didn't change.
Anna?
I'm Anna Herforth, and I have the same question for Chris and Mulia. Thank you for all the excellent presentations. My question is about what you observe in terms of any marketing of that wide diversity of vegetables that are seen in forested areas in Indonesia and that you showed, Chris, in the Solomon Islands. Is there any effort because the last comment noted the importance of markets where people access a lot of their food. Are those products being brought into markets and being promoted in any way on the demand side?
Mulia, will you start?
Thank you. Lots of market questions. I'm not an economist, but I will try. It's a good question about what's next, because I do also still owe something to my super Amy. It's among other that I forgot to mention is that we did measure the difference in expenditure between forested and deforested area, and it was a significant difference that the deforested area expend more for both food and non-food. So that is perhaps the direction where we also want to go to understand. But the thing is that the increase in expenditure is also quite significant between 2008 to 2017 in forested area, and we are questioning where do they get their money from, and among other that we have to think is, do they maybe get their money from the various social safety net from the government, because there has been quite significant project from the government, program from the government to empower the people in the villages, which means like outpouring cash to the village level. So we don't know that yet, and to know more about that, we kind of have to decide if we want to invest, because we have to buy these data sets. And, but that's one thing. And then the market access for consumer purchase, we haven't done that, but the SUSENA's data provide information on how much do they consume from their own production and how much do they consume from purchase. So we could go to that direction to see if maybe, like, for example, the decreasing amount of fruits and vegetables is actually significant from their own production, for example. So we could go there, but we don't know that yet at the moment. Marketing diversity on the field level, we didn't go to the field for this specific study, but we did go to the field for different study where we could have anecdotal evidence that, like from the story that I gave you, some areas are very difficult to reach, and yet industrialized products and ultra-processed food, they could somehow find their way through these 6-hour drives of four-wheel vehicles, and it's there. So from the food environment perspective, it is very interesting. The same people, same community are still relying themselves on the nature, to the lake and to the forest on daily basis, but then also they have to deal with all this industrialized product. So unfortunately at this stage, we don't have field level information, but as a researcher, that was what also was very striking for me, that I want to go to that direction.
Yes, thanks for the questions, everyone. Lucas, I'll start with you. You asked about how biodiversity can play a role in providing nutrient density in the diets, and I think you're very right. You know, the elders and the adults in the community are custodians of this knowledge. They were very well aware of certain wild collected foods that provided nutrition. Though they might not know exactly what nutrients are provided in those foods, they know that they're important. And we analyzed that 10% of the calories came from wild-sourced foods, and in that 10%, it made up a significant portion of the micronutrient density of the diet. So there really is an opportunity to leverage that information and continue the knowledge transmission of it. So yes. Oceania Foods is hosting a Smarter Foods conference in September to try to raise funds to do a third version of the food composition database, Pacific Island composition database. There's version 2, I think it came out more than a decade ago, and it only analyzed certain foods, but they're really trying to make a push to do, I think, 100 new foods on 6 different islands in the Pacific to really understand the contribution of these foods in the diet. So yeah, thanks for your question. As far as the banana, the vitamin A rich banana, I was writing, so I didn't see who asked that, but, oh yeah, hey, there you are. Yeah, so there was only 1, maybe 2 trees in the village, banana bushes in the village that had this banana, but I will say I've never seen so many varieties of bananas in my life in one place. There were over 15 varieties that were consumed. And then when we asked the knowledge about vitamin A rich foods, everyone said papaya and mango, but no one even mentioned the banana. So I think that the knowledge just isn't there that it is a vitamin A rich food. So there's a big opportunity for education in that regard. So yeah, thanks for the question. And I think that kind of leads into Anna's question, the marketing of neglected and underutilized species, all of the government marketing that I came across was focused on kind of general foods like papaya, watermelon, and just kind of those like staple foods. But as I mentioned, there's so many varieties, and there's just a huge opportunity to market more specifically those products that are nutrient dense, similar to the Fei banana. So yeah, thanks for the question.
Thank you for the question. It was very interesting to have that question. If I understood what you were saying about why there is no difference in productivity, but for other outcomes there is impact is significant. I can say that maize is like a main food base, like people are eating maize. And for those who just crop maize, if they don't want to eat maize, they sell it in the field. And they can use the money for that to go for other crops, other foods, and buy some fruits, some beans, and other crops. That will impact on those food diversity, and that's what I can say. And for those who don't sell it, there is more than 80 type of food people process based on maize they're getting from the farm, and they can multiply what they are eating in the household. I don't know if
Thank you. Amma, you have a question for him?
No, I forgot to. I think one question. I only say that the availability of the national survey was on quantity, or I gave the impression, but I also gave price data for that consumption, so there is a possibility to go to that direction to compare what is the price of the food that they consume from own production and consume from purchase. And that's why I came to the affordable food learning labs the other day.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm afraid we've run out of time, but I think our presenters have done a great job. So let's put our hands together for them. And if anybody has any questions, please find them at lunchtime or in the corridor and speak to them further about their work. And thank you for coming.